Victory Cubes DVD. My name is B and I'm the founder of Creative Magic. Now on this DVD we're going to go over a few basic things. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit of the history behind the Victory Cubes. Then we'll show you a little video of me performing the Victory Cubes and some of the other things you can do with them. And then I'd like to show you how to set it up and take proper care of it. After that, we'll go over some of the different routines and things you can do, including just using them as stage decorations and how best to do that. And finally, I'll give you some tips and tricks of things we've learned over the years working with the Victory Cubes. But first, let's talk about the history of the Victory Cubes. Victory Cubes, as you probably guessed, is based on the classic illusion Victory Cartons by U.F. Grant. And I have here a booklet that U.F. Grant published called Victory Carton Illusions. Now the interesting thing about this booklet is he not only talks about the classic where you take two cardboard boxes and nest them together and produce a girl, but he also teaches us a lot of other illusions that can be made out of cardboard boxes, including a sword box or a spirit cabinet. It really is a fascinating little booklet. If you ever have the chance to pick one up, I highly recommend it. It's really great. Now the interesting thing about Victory Cubes is it didn't start out necessarily as a Victory Carton illusion. It kind of evolved into that. In fact, when I first started working with these spring open type things, I was just trying to develop a stage decoration. We do a lot of traveling and we do a lot of shows in like high schools and in cafeterias, in banquet halls at hotels, places that aren't necessarily theatrical and magical. And so I thought if we made some stage decorations that looked more magical, that could enhance my show a little bit. But of course I wanted it to be very portable and lightweight and durable. So I started working with these spring open things, and it just made sense to have them be squares. And so it evolved into dice, and then I worked with some other magicians on how to improve them, and we decided that the dots could be spandex holes so you could pull props out of them throughout the show, and that was kind of fun. And then all of a sudden we realized, well, if we made them to where they stacked one inside of the other, then we could turn it into a Victory Carton type illusion, and one thing led to another, and what you're holding now is the classic Victory Cubes, one step further with U.F. Grant's Victory Carton Illusion. So that's a little bit of the history behind the Victory Cubes, and I hope you have lots of fun with them. Well, that about wraps things up for this DVD, but before we let you go, I wanted to show you a few helpful tricks and tips with the Victory Cubes. A few things we've learned over the years working with our Victory Cubes. Now, if you're performing with these, the one thing you really want to keep in mind is you want it to look smooth and fluid and comfortable as you work with them. And they really can be an awkward prop as you open them up and they fling around. You want to be very comfortable with them, make it seem very natural. One thing to keep in mind is these wires, they're flat wires in here that give it the springiness, and they can actually get twisted on you. So you want to be careful with that and try to avoid that as much as possible. But it will happen. It's inevitable that occasionally it happens. So the best advice is just to really get to know them. So if it does happen, you know what to do. You can get them undone. It might be that yours already is twisted. I'll go ahead and twist this one here so you see kind of what it looks like. But I don't recommend that you go around twisting yours, because the more you twist it, the more likely it is to twist itself. So that's kind of one way it might look if it's twisted. It gets kind of ski-wonked like that. Or the whole thing might be indented like that, or it might be at the bottom. So if you open yours up and it doesn't spring open instantly and look like a nice solid cube, take a look at it and see if one of them's bent. And you can go around and go, oh, yep, sure enough, right there it's bent. And then you just hold it with both hands, and you can actually twist it on the inside, and it'll pop back around. Now, if you twist it the wrong way, then it's double twisted, and you need to double twist it back. But the main thing is that you get it back to its normal state. And then what I recommend is you just open and close it quite a few times till you get real comfortable and figure out what's the most natural way. You can film yourself opening and closing it, but more importantly, see what makes it to where it opens up without a twist. If you open it up from the top, if that helps. If you open it up from the middle, maybe that's better. And also how you close it. When I close mine, I generally have the trapdoor on this side so that I can reach in and open it up just like that, and then it pops out. So get to know your cube, what's going to be best to keep it from twisting. You might never have yours twist depending on the way you handle it. It might twist all the time on you. So that's just one thing to be aware of. Another thing you want to watch out for is this Velcro on the top. If you don't have it Velcroed nice and tight, if it's on there real loosely, a lot of times it can come undone. If you have it nice and tight, it'll never come undone. But if you have it on too loose, as you close it up, you can hear it unvelcroing itself. So there you have it, it's unvelcroed. So as you go to show the top, they might get a glimpse of the hole in the back. So another thing that I discovered on accident is if you open it upside down, it actually creates a little bit more of a deceptive experience. So you have this all twisted up in a little ball, and you spring it open, and then you open it upside down, and as you do that, they're seeing that bottom side, and then you flip it around like that, and psychologically they feel like they've seen more sides. It's really weird. I did it on accident one time, and then when I was watching footage of it, it fooled me. I went, whoa, I think I just saw all the sides. I never saw the trap door. It really is quite cool to do it that way. So if you want to do it that way, and then you spin it around, it just seems very casual, that there's no gimmick to it. It's just something you found at Toys R Us and you're doing a magic trick with or something. So that's kind of cool to open it upside down. And then one other thing I wanted to show you is if you want to be holding it, and you do, you want to be holding it in a way that you instantly know where you're at. You don't want to open it up and then try to find an opening. How am I supposed to, because again, you just want it to seem so natural and casual. So I generally will like to be holding it from the corner. If I'm going to have the top up, I hold it from that corner. If I'm going to have the top bottom, or the top on the bottom, then I hold it from that corner. So let's say we're doing it like that. I'm going to close it, and so this is the way I want to be holding it. So I'm going to close it like this, and then I'll close it like that. And the whole time I'm just holding on to this side where I want to be holding on to. I never let go of that. So when I open it up, I'm holding it right where I want it. So one more time, show you, you just keep holding on to where you want it. You close it like that, close it like that. Just never let go of where you want to be holding when you come out. So you walk on the stage, spring open, and you've got it, just like that. And then of course make sure that they don't ever see the trap door. So that's a few little helpful hints. The last little thing, if you're performing with it, of course you're going to want to videotape yourself. I recommend you always videotape yourself and get a good feel for your angles and make sure it looks real natural. And then if you do have problems with angles, because it can be an angly trick, just use some more victory cubes and stack them up, and they're great to block angles, not only for this trick, but any other trick that might need blocking angles. So, and that's what we mostly use them for. We just use them as stage decorations 90% of the time. And we'll take quite a few sets with us, and depending on the size of the stage, we'll set up a couple stacks on either side, or we'll set up a whole row of them in the back of the stage. Sometimes we'll use them as a scenery change during the show if it's a really big production. At one point in the show, there'll be a bunch of dice on the stage, and that was just kind of a feature thing for that trick. So we do a lot of different things with them. One thing we have learned, though, is if you're using them in a smaller venue, like a restaurant or a banquet hall, you can run into problems with people expecting you to do something with them. In large theaters, people accept them just as decorations, but in smaller theaters, you might have someone say after the show, well, what were those dice for? Or how come you didn't do the dice trick? And that's happened to us occasionally in a smaller venue, like someone's living room or something of that nature. The way to get around that is just to use them for something. If you use them to ditch props in, or you use them to grab props out of, then people go, oh, that's why he has those dice. It's for him to grab his rope out of, or it's for him to ditch his used stuff in. And then they don't expect anything. And that's the main thing, is you don't want someone expecting this big trick from you, and you're going to use the dice at the end of your show, and then all of a sudden your show's over, and they go, hey, what about the dice? You don't want to disappoint people. So that's the main thing. Smaller venues, watch how you use it. Like I say, just put a chair in there and pull props, and you're good to go. So that's about it for the decorating them. And if you have any other ideas, please let us know. This is kind of a new thing that we're releasing. We've only been using it for a couple of years, and we're excited to see what people come up with. And if you have any extra helpful hints or tips for us, definitely send them our way. Also, if you have footage of you performing the Victory Cubes, we'd love to, on a future DVD, be able to include footage of other people performing it, or even just put it up on our website. So if you get some footage, or if you have any ideas, definitely send them our way. We want to thank you for purchasing the Victory Cubes. We appreciate your support. We hope you have lots of fun with them. I'm sure you will. And I hope to hear from you and see you again in the future. Thanks, and keep the magic alive. Well, it seems kind of silly to talk about setting up an illusion when it's this easy to set up, but in reality right now what we need to talk about is not only setting them up, but packing them up afterwards. You'll notice they come in a little bag, which is really nice because you can take it with you as a carry-on the plane if you want to. We actually have gotten them through security without any problems. So that's nice, but it can be kind of tricky to get them back in the bag at first. Some of you might be in your living room right now wondering how to fold these things back up. But remember, once you've learned how to fold them up, it is very simple and very quick. So to set up the illusion, since that's what we're doing right now, you just hold them out like this, and make sure you hold it away from your body. You don't want to hurt yourself, and also make sure no one else is standing nearby because you don't want to hurt them. So you just hold it out, and it springs open on its own. And then you just open it up like that, and open it up the rest of the way, and you have cube number 1. And then again with this one, you have your hole in the back, so you just open it up like that, and you have your 2 cubes. And that's the basic setting it up. That's all you have to do. I think it's probably the quickest illusion in the history of magic to set up. You're done, just like that. Now the tricky part, like I mentioned before, is folding them up. So this is how you fold it up. You have your cube like so. You take one of the corners, and if you're doing the smaller cube, you want one of the corners that's back with the trapdoor, and you fold it into itself just like that. So now you have one flat panel. Alright? So you just take the cube like so, grab it from the middle, and fold it in, and then you have a flat panel. And again, same thing with this one. You have your cube, you fold it in like that, so you have one flat panel. Now what you do is you take your cube and you grab it from 2 corners like so, and you fold them together. Alright? So you've got a little taco type thing right there. Now this is the tricky part. As you take this other side and bring it in, you need to let this side fold in on itself. So it's natural to just keep holding on to those two, but you actually, this one is going to fold in, and this part comes out over here, and then you've got one last ring there, and there you have it. You have your solid circle. Alright, let's do that again for you. So your spring's open like that. It's pretty easy to get it to the flat position, but the tricky part is getting it into the circle position. So you grab the 2 far corners. Maybe you want to do it along with me, just like that. Then you grab this outer side just like that and pull it in. And as you're pulling that in, let this side come in and grab that right there. And this side folds in, and you have it just like that. And then it wants to spring open. If you let go of it, it's going to spring open. So don't let go of it. You can put it in between your legs or underneath your arm while you do the other one. So you do the same thing. Don't worry about this top. I just let it go wherever it goes. You can tuck it in nicely if you're using it in a performance, but I generally just let it go where it goes. You take the 2 corners together, put that in, that goes around like that, and you have your 2 circles. Like I say, at first it can be kind of tricky. Don't get frustrated if it's kind of tricky at first, because once you get it, it's cake to do over and over again. Then you have your 2 cubes, and you just put them in your bag like so. Now it is important that you keep them in the bag. If you try to leave them out, they'll spring open on you, which is okay. You can store them open. They'll probably be less wrinkly if you store them that way. But don't try to carry them around all wadded up without them being in their bag. True story, I was actually driving along with some of these in the passenger seat, and they weren't in their bags, and all of a sudden one of them sprang open and landed in my lap and nearly ended up in an accident. So don't do that. Be really careful with them, not only when you're opening them, but when they're closed and laying around. Try to keep them in the bag as much as possible so they don't scare anyone. So that's how you set them up. Just pop them open, and that's how you pack them in. Just twist them, throw them back in the bag, and if you want, if you have multiple sets, we've actually been able to cram 4 cubes in one bag. So if you have 2 sets of cubes, feel free to consolidate them to one bag, and you can take those as a carry-on on the plane. So that's setup and takedown of the Victory Cubes. Well, this is probably the most important part of this DVD, where we talk about how to use your Victory Cubes, how to make a person appear in them, how to use them as stage decorations, and a few other creative things you can do with them as well. But since we use them as stage decorations, let's start there. Let me show you a little bit of footage from just the other day when we were in a real boring gymnasium doing a show. This is the stage before the Victory Cubes. It has all of our props, everything that we're planning on using in our show, including one illusion. And this is what it looked like after we set up a few sets of Victory Cubes. Notice how it makes a huge difference in the way the theater, if you will, the performance area looks. People come into this gymnasium and all of a sudden it looks that much more magical. It took us about 3 minutes to set those things up and probably about 4 minutes to take them down after the show. It really made a big difference. Ideally, if you're going to use Victory Cubes as stage decorations, you'd have more than one set. In fact, the magicians that have them already are generally using 2 sets. 2 dice stacked on this side of the stage and 2 dice stacked on that side of the stage. But as you can see, we have quite a few sets and we go crazy with them. It's a lot of fun. In fact, that's why we've priced the Victory Cubes so low, so that you can afford to get as many sets as you'd like for your particular show. But even if you just have one set, you can still do a lot of fun things with them. In fact, you can make them a central focal point of your show. This is where I grab all my props and this is where I ditch all my props. Just stack the cubes on one side with a chair inside of them. So this is just an ordinary chair. You can use anything you want. We just find a chair when we're at the theater and we place it inside the bigger cube, and then you put your props on there. For this example, I'll just put a silk in there. And then what you would do is you would actually stack the other dice on top of it. But to show you what's happening, I'll just leave that one off. So you have your one die there with a silk inside, and then at any point in your show when you need that silk, you just reach in like this, pull out your silk, and then you can do whatever trick you want with it, and then you can ditch it. And the nice thing is you can be ditching things and then pulling them back out. In fact, you can make a whole routine about how you keep ditching a piece of rope that you've cut in half, and then you grab a whole piece of rope and you ditch a half rope, whatever. You could do some really fun stuff. You reach into one dot, pull out the wrong colored silk, place it back, reach into another dot, pull it out, whatever you want to do. There's a lot of fun things that can be done, or you could just use them to ditch your props throughout the show. Just throw them in there and then people don't have to see that used deck of cards, or you don't have to worry about where you're going to put your crumpled bag after you've vanished a Norm Nelson ketchup bottle, for example. One of the things we do in our show. So that's a simple way to make the dice more interactive, is by using the spandex dots. And that's kind of fun. Now if you want to use the Victory Cubes to make a person appear, there's a few ways you can do that. We're going to go over a couple, but first I'd like to familiarize you with the prop. You'll notice you have 2 cubes here, one slightly smaller than the other. They're both made out of wire and this really thin nylon so that they're light and they spring open. Now the material is coated with this silver coating so that it's difficult to see through. If you have light in the back, then sometimes you can catch a shadow, so just make sure you're front lit. But it does a pretty good job of keeping people from seeing through. And then the other nice thing is you have these black spandex dots that make them look like dice, but you can use them for a creative routine of pulling things out, or your assistant could appear and stick their hands through. A lot of different creative possibilities there. Of course, you don't have to use them, but it's fun if you do. The other nice thing is the small cube has a roof on it, unlike the classic Victory cartons. This helps you protect your secret compartment in the back. This is important that your audience never see this, otherwise that would ruin the trick. That is the secret. So we have this rip-away roof, so as you open it up, you can hold it like this and your audience will never see the back, and then when your assistant appears, you have the option of either lifting up both cubes and showing her, or she can rip away this Velcro roof and pop up through there. So it gives you, again, some different possibilities as you're routining your performance. The other fun thing about the Victory Cubes is when you stack them, the dots actually line up so that you can still use the ability to reach in and reach out. So as long as you make sure the 5 side is lined up with the 5 side, the dots will line up for you. So that's kind of fun. Then you can spin them around and do what you want. The other thing that you should notice about the larger cube is there is an up and down to the larger cube. You'll notice in each of the corners of the cube, there's this little support triangle, if you will. On the bottom of the cube, the triangle is much smaller, and that allows you to be able to stack them. Now you'll notice you can stack them with the bigger side if you have to. The dots no longer line up if you do that, and it's a little bit snug, and then when you try to pick it up, it's not going to want to. It's designed to go the other way. Now, the reason you have bigger ones at all is, 1, it helps it be a little bit more sturdy, but 2, those actually go all the way to the ground. And so when you have this folded in half, and you have your panel sitting there and a person hiding behind it, that reaches almost all the way to the ground, and it helps conceal the person that's hiding behind that panel. So that's another important thing. Now if you're performing the classic Victory Cartons routine and you've got your cube folded that way and you've got the big triangle down, you have two options. One, do the snug version where you're kind of fighting a little bit, or two, you open it up like this. I like to show through the audience, show through the cube and see the audience, and then you just flip it over and put it on like that so that you have the small triangles down. But no matter how you decide to do it, just notice that there is different sizes of those and figure out what works best for you. Now let's go over the most basic performance of Victory Cartons that you can. This is found in a lot of publications, but we'll go over it real quick for you. We'll show you a performance from the front, and then we'll show you a performance from the back. So this is a performance from the front of what a classic Victory Cartons looks like. So that's what it looks like from the audience. Now let's see what it looks like from behind. As you can see, my assistant is hiding behind the big cube. I open up the small one to show it empty, and then I place it right next to the big one. Now she sneaks from behind the big one to the small one without bumping. Now I take the big one, place it over top the small one, spin it around, and there you have it, my assistant has appeared. Now it's important to remember that she does need to sneak into this very carefully, not to bump any of the sides, and it can be done. My assistant learned how to do it in a matter of minutes. Now another thing you could do is obviously the magician could stand close to the cube and be constantly moving it, covering her movements, but it's better if she can just do it without jostling it at all. So that's the basic performance of the Victory Cubes with no other props involved. Now I'd like to talk about a couple ways that you can make a person appear with black art. For those of you that aren't familiar with black art, I highly recommend that you get a book and read up on it. It truly is a powerful tool in magic. It is kind of complex to travel with, requires special lighting, but when done right, it is totally worth it. It's very magical. Gary Darwin has a little booklet that he's put out called Inexpensive Illusions. It's got a few ideas on how to use black art. Like I say, you want to get a really good book that really explains how to light it and do it well. But this has some fun ideas for some simple black art with picket fences or tables and simple things to hide behind. The basic gist behind black art is that you have something that is on the stage that people feel like they can see through, whether it's a tabletop or a picket fence. In our case, we use cinder blocks. And then you have a black cloth that matches the backdrop, which is obviously black, and they have it lit in such a way that people feel like they can see underneath it, but a person can easily be hidden behind it. Let me show you my performance of making a person appear using black art. See, it truly is phenomenal to be able to walk on the stage with a little bundle of fabric, step up on a platform that seems very innocent, pop it open, and instantly a girl appears. It really is powerful, and it's a simple platform. We built it out of just a 4x8 sheet of plywood and some 2x4s. It really was simple to build, and some cinder blocks, and then some black fabric to create the black art. Now let me show you on the flip side what it looks like from behind. In this case, instead of black art, we'll have some red fabric there so you can see exactly what it would look like from behind and you know what's blacked out. As you can see, she's crouched in a little ball behind the black art, represented by the red fabric here. I jump up on the platform, open up the cube, she climbs inside, and ta-da, I've made a girl here. Really is simple. Now the angles for that can be kind of tricky, so another way you can do that is by using the bigger cube. What you do is you jump up on the platform, open up the cube, and as you open it up, swing it on the back side of the base, giving her enough room to climb in. She climbs in, and ta-da, you've made a girl appear. Now if you don't want to build a base, or more importantly, haul a base with you everywhere you go, but you like the idea of walking on the stage with a bundle of fabric and producing a girl from it, you can turn to Gary Darwin's Inexpensive Illusions again, and he's got some other ideas for black art. Pretty much anything you can see through, chain link fence, a picket fence, some cinder blocks, you name it, you can turn it into a black art effect. Again, you'll still have to carry around with you those. Here's a little behind the scenes view of what it would look like with cinder blocks. Again, the red fabric would be black fabric, and your assistant would be hiding behind. You open up the cube, she sneaks in, and you've made a girl appear. That's what it would look like from behind. There's lots of clever things you can do with it. It's really up to you what fits your show, what fits your style, what you want to haul around with you. So I hope you have a lot of fun with that. Now the other things you can do with the Victory Cubes are purely up to your imagination. Anything that can be done having made a person appear, of course you could do with the Victory Cubes. You could show them completely empty and then begin to produce all sorts of silks or ropes or animals, whatever you want, and then finally produce a person if you want. You can do a spirit cabinet where you show everything completely empty, and again you put cards and bells in there or poker chips. You can theme it around the spirit of Vegas and do some fun stuff there. If you want to use them to vanish a person, again with black art, you could put the person in the cubes and then fold them up and show them that they're gone. Really, there are tons of different things that you could do with it. You saw on our little video that you could put balloon swords through there, and just kind of as a comedy thing. Obviously it's not that deceptive because balloons obviously aren't going to hurt anyone and they're going to slide around, but for a kid's show it could be kind of fun. It's just an idea. If it fits your thing, great. If it doesn't, totally understand. It doesn't fit mine. But there are a lot of fun things. We just wanted to give you some random ideas that would get those juices flowing. Heck, if you just want to turn it upside down and use it to hold stuff in, you could fill this thing with balloons and have something as a carrying case for your balloons. However you want to use them, I think that's great. It's just a fun prop that's super portable and super lightweight. And if you can turn it into something magical, great. We just use them as stage decorations. So that's the Victory Cubes for you. Alright, now I'd like to show you a little montage of just a few of the things that you can do with the Victory Cubes. One of which being making a girl appear with no other apparatus around you, and then also a clever way to make a girl appear using black art and the Victory Cubes. Well, I hope that got you excited about the many things that you can do with the Victory Cubes in your own show. Now, we'll go over in detail how to do those things a little bit later on in the DVD, but first I'd like to talk about how to set up the Victory Cubes and how to take care of them.